of Municipal Affairs. I just wonder if you could describe whether you've seen anything like this or what your take is, from that perspective about the trend in the province.
Yeah, the past history really has been that there are minor tweaks and changes that come in line with provincial policy statements, but not these kind of massive changes that adds a significant amount of land, in some cases agricultural land, into the urban boundary. So, we're not alone, unfortunately, but the province seems to like to want to constantly meddle in city business, and that's unfortunate. And I hope the new council will continue to be as forceful and push back on some of the things that the province is trying to impose on us. We've seen downloading by this provincial government on health, public health, ambulance, and so on. We have not even received any kind of final confirmation that funding for the massive storm that the Premier promised. I reached out to him yesterday and he said they're working on it. So, I think maybe he might want to make the news to the new council. That's fine. But, our citizens have suffered as a result of that storm. The area has not been declared a disaster zone by the minister, and we received the grand total of $0.00 for our costs, which are $20 million at the city and $30 million at Hydro. So the province, I think, was emboldened, I suppose, with their election victory earlier this year. But it's not a very positive partnership when one partner is constantly surprising the other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now go to Leah LaRocque at CTV.
This question is for Mayor Watson. So with the official plan now getting in place, with the ongoing inquiry into the LRT, have we set up the new council and the new mayor for success to come in the next term?
Well, I think we've done a lot of the heavy lifting, and we've made some of the tough decisions over the course of the last several years. And we hand the city over to the new Mayor-elect Sutcliffe and his council in good shape financially. We have a AAA credit rating. We got a lot of infrastructure projects done, a lot of shovels in the ground, whether it's the new library, for instance, working with the Ottawa Hospital to expand and create the new civic site. So there are a lot of big projects on the table, and I think the new council will be well positioned to move forward on some of these city building projects.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to Taylor Blewett at the Ottawa Citizen.
Hi, my questions are also for the mayor. It's hard to overstate how much the province's Bill 23 could change both here at City Hall and across the city. What do you make of what the province is proposing with the More Homes Built Faster package and what we've heard from staff about what it could mean for our city?
Tell it was a little echoey. Can you just repeat that?
For sure. Is this any better? I can move back. Back up. Okay. So it is, it's hard to overstate how much the province's Bill 23 could change, both here at City Hall and across the city, in every neighborhood. What do you make of what the province is proposing with this More Homes Built Faster package and what we've heard from staff about what it could mean for our city?
Well, I think it was you that had the story today in the Citizen that really summarized the frustrations of not just our staff, but also the elected officials around the city of Ottawa. We are a mature order of government, and yet we're being treated as a subservient order of government with the provincial government. And I think some of the changes they've made have been made in haste so that when, neighborhoods start to see a single family home torn down and 3 units put in, we'll be the new council and mayor should be directing those concerned neighbors to their local MPP and explain, why there was virtually no consultation with the municipal sector on a wide variety of these issues. We know that we need more affordable housing, but we also need money to go with that. And so what we've always been arguing for is we need a tripartite table between the federal, provincial, and municipal governments to really deal seriously with affordable housing, not just housing affordability. And there's a big difference between the two.
And Obviously, with the timing of this legislation, it leaves you in a bit of an odd position as you're, moving on from your role. Our new mayor is coming in. But have you, or do you intend to transmit any kind of message to the minister, the premier, or someone else in the provincial government about this More Homes package?
Yeah, I think, obviously, because there's just a few days left in this term, it really will be up to the new mayors. And there's a number of new mayors that will make up the Ontario Big City Mayors Coalition. I know other mayors in other cities have similar concerns, so there's strength in numbers. But the province seems determined to move forward with very little consultation in a bit of a rough shed manner. And I know certainly when I was Minister of Municipal Affairs, one of the things I prided myself on was no surprises, use the MOU table that we created to give AMO and other municipal leaders a heads up on something that was coming down the pipe, so we could have a sensible and mature dialogue between the province and the city. I lived through Mike Harris downloading when I was mayor back in the 1990s, and it was a very frustrating experience because we were constantly caught off guard by decisions by the provincial government. So I mentioned earlier, I've been pushing the province to ensure that we get some funding for that massive storm they had a few months ago. And, to the credit of the premier, he texted back, he said they're working on it. So he made a commitment that they would keep us whole. And my hope is that he lives up to that commitment, because that's a significant hit to our bottom line. We wouldn't be running a deficit at the end of this year, projected deficit, if we had that $20 million from the province that was promised. And hydro rates would not have to necessarily go up to make up for those $30 million that the hydro company had to invest in getting poles reinstated and electricity back in people's homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nous allons maintenant à Charles-Antoine Gagnon.
Charles-Antoine Gagnon from Le Droit. You have the floor. Hello. Last meeting of this council, could you comment on the last few years, on what you're most proud of, and how you leave municipal politics? Could you tell us? Well, yes, of course. It's a bit sad for me because I've worked here for 12 years. And prior to that, I worked in Queen's Park and the old City Hall. I'm very, very proud of the progress we've made on files like the LRT, on the Innovation Centre, the new arts gallery, and leisure centres. We've built across the city. At the same time, we've kept tax rises down to 1.5, 2.5% over the past 12 years. We have a good relationship with the federal government. We've worked hand in hand on major projects like the Central Library. That's a partnership between the two orders of government. We've built 7 or 8 new bridges across the city as well. That was done in partnership with the feds. It's now time for the new council. I've worked with Mr. Sutcliffe over the past 2 weeks to ensure a smooth transition. I have the utmost confidence in him and the new council members.
It's bittersweet leaving here. I've worked here for 12 years. I've enjoyed working with the people and the staff and my colleagues over the last 12 years. And then I include, of course, my time at the old City Hall and my time at Queen's Park. I'm proud of the fact that we're able to get light rail up and running, notwithstanding it had lots of challenges, no question about that. But I think phase 2 is going to make the system even better and more complete. And people will look back on that with a sense of, how did you ever get around the city, 20 years from now without that system? And that's the same attitude that people had with the TTC. Can you imagine Toronto without the TTC or Montreal without the metro system? I'm proud of the fact that we were able to help build up our city in terms of important infrastructure, whether it was 7 or 8 bridges that we built, the Innovation Centre, the Ottawa Art Gallery, Arts Court, the new Central Library, obviously the recreation centres in all parts of the city. We had more cranes in the skyline of Ottawa than we've seen literally in a generation. So we got a lot of projects that were really stuck in the mud for a long period of time. How many years and decades did we debate Lansdowne and Art Gallery and Innovation Center and rec centers in Barrhaven, Canada, Cumberland? And we kept control over spending. We have a AAA credit rating. We have obviously the tax rate went from anywhere between 2 and 3% over the course of the last 12 years. That gave some financial predictability to the public.
Merci. On va maintenant à Frédéric Pépin avec Radio-Canada.
Frédéric Pépin from Radio-Canada. Question for you, Mr. Watson. Could you tell us what happened at the end of the council? Councillors left. There was a councillor that was speaking virtually, and you brought the meeting to an end. I'm sure this was not the way you intended to end the last council meeting. Could you tell us what happened and what was the message you were sending? Well, yes. Half of the council members had no respect for Mr. Chiarelli, and they left the room. That was their right. When you lose quorum, we had to recess. And I adjourned the meeting. It was embarrassing, not for us, but for Mr. Chiarelli himself, I think, specifically because the Integrity Commissioner had just presented her report, and the city and the council, rather, had decided to suspend Mr. Chiarelli's salary because what he did was disgusting.
I guess also what I wanted to know is, that's not the way you wanted your last council to end, right?
Well, look at, when Mr. Chiarelli decided to start pontificating on all of his accomplishments, most members of council got up and left because they have no respect for the gentleman, and particularly today, when the Integrity Commissioner filed another report outlining his outrageous and disgraceful and disgusting behavior. I don't blame members of council for not wanting to listen to that nonsense. And when I called members back, they arrived back. We adjourned the meeting, and it allowed us to say, you know what, we're not going to give free airtime to Rick Chiarelli, given his past outrageous behavior and performance.
Si je peux poser une question en français maintenant.
Can I ask you another question in French now? You talked to my colleague, Kate, about a discussion you had with the Ontario Premier. Could you tell us a bit more about the context? When did you speak to him? And how much money do you expect to receive from the province to cover the cost of the storm cleanup? I sent a text to Mr. Ford 2 days ago, and he answered me back saying, we're working on it. And I wrote asking if he required more documents. He says he's working on it, and I hope that he will announce 20 million for Ottawa and 30 million for Hydro Ottawa. This is money that Mr. Ford promised to cover our costs, our cleanup costs, and I hope that he'll honor the commitment.
This concludes today's media availability. Ceci conclut le point de presse d'aujourd'hui. Thank you, everyone. Merci à tout le monde. Have a great Wednesday.
Great job.